Thingamajigs Solar Eclipse Watch 2024. That's right, we're out in the field.
Field?
Reporting live.
We're not in a field.
No, in the field.
Oh,
not
okay.
A field. We're in the field live for Solar Eclipse Watch 2024. This is Thingamajigs, by the way. It's the exciting history of mundane things, and I am Ben.
And I am Danielle. In case you can't tell, we're gonna talk about the history of eclipses. One reason we are moving right now is because we are traveling to see the total solar eclipse this Monday. For those of you listening in the future, there was a total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024.
And we are at a campground right now. There might be some background noise. There might not be. I don't know. And it'll probably be a shorter one.
We're back in the South. It's different. I forgot how much people like to talk here.
They sure do like to talk. I'm used to walking into a shop and I'm like, howdy, and then I get nothing back, and then walked into a shop here and I said, howdy, and they said, hey, how are ya? How was your day? Where are y'all coming from? Y'all travel up here? Y'all going to see the eclipse? And then we got stuck in a conversation with a fascinating woodworking man for about a half an hour, so...
It was probably more like 20 minutes. And then there was that girl at the leather shop. Forgot what a true Southern accent sounds like. She sounded straight out of Westworld. I don't think that it was staged in any way, but it was so perfect that it seemed fake. She said the word butterflies.
I'm still making these butterflies.
Yeah, we're doing a terrible job of it, but I forgot. Also, we don't have this thick Southern accent in Louisiana.
I mean, it exists, but we're city folk, I guess, now.
As soon as you cross over into Mississippi, Alabama, people who don't know us can tell that we have a Southern accent, but not like the true Southern accent that you hear in Arkansas and Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. I'm very excited about this event. Anyone I've talked to that has seen them, eclipses, have said they are worth every minute, or in our case, hour of driving. This drive from Utah was particularly challenging.
Yeah, there's been worse.
We're going to get into some mystical and spiritual legend around this topic, so after reading all of that, I'm convinced there were some dark spirits trying to keep us from the majesty of this incredible occurrence.
Is that right? Is that what kept our fridge from working?
I think so. I think there was fridge demon.
These things happen.
It was the spirit of broken fridges.
There was one in the Ghostbusters movie.
We're going to stick to mostly the history and stories surrounding eclipses. Ben, you can give a scientific explanation of what's actually happening if you want. I know it's not incredibly complicated, but I'm going to stick to the historical side and leave more interesting science-y portions to experts out there.
Moon goes around the Earth a lot, and the Earth goes around the Sun a lot, and sometimes they do that at the same time, and the Moon goes in front of the Sun.
If you're interested in this stuff, I'm sure you've found plenty of informative YouTube videos. If not, I highly recommend Hank Green or Brian Edward Cox. Brilliant man. He is amazing at bringing complicated concepts to the public. I think he's what Neil deGrasse Tyson wanted to be like or aspired to accomplish. They're both physicists, but Brian is also a musician.
Never heard of him.
He looks like a beetle. Not the insect, the band. He looks like he could be a beetle in the band.
I don't know, the band kind of looks like the bug.
He looks British and has beetle hair. Anyway, so the history of eclipses. Well, for one thing, they have been happening for as long as the sun, I guess, more importantly, the moon, has existed. Because, the sun existed first, and then the earth, and then the moon broke away from the earth and orbited. I wonder if it was sad, or if that bit of earth felt special.
Now, I think it was some kind of karmic repercussions, you see. The Earth was there, and it was perfectly happy existing there. And then some other planetoid came and was like, I'm going to mess your stuff up, Earth, and smacked into it. And it was like, yeah, take that, Earth. But then he got stuck in Earth's orbit, and he was like, oh, now I have to spend the rest of eternity with you. No.
I wonder when it stopped considering itself Earth. I'm trying to give consciousness to the moon. The moon doesn't care. It hardly cares that we named all of its craters. Could you imagine if the bacteria on our face named our pores? I feel like that's the equivalent.
It probably does. I follow the theory that there's people all the way down. We're people, we're living on bigger people, and there's littler people living on us.
That's why you gotta take care of your... That's the real reason why your body is a temple.
Trillions of solar systems relying on you.
Got an ecosystem going on in here, and I have to take care of myself in order for them to take care of themselves and their ecosystems.
Yeah.
People all the way down.
People all the way down.
So the first solar eclipse that we have a reasonable record of was from November 30th, 3340 BC. I'm pretty sure that is a guesstimate. It's a weirdly precise guess, but that's what NASA said, so I agree. We know there was an eclipse because of rock carvings in Ireland. It was a series of spiral-shaped, concentric, overlapping circles. In China, they were recording eclipses on oxen shoulder blades and tortoise shells. I have to assume that they were dead first. They were called oracle bones. Chinese records described the sun as being eaten, which is a common way these ancient people seem to describe what's happening. We're gonna see that again.
Eaten and then like vomited out?
Mm-hmm. Well, usually what I came across was spit out, but yeah.
Well, it's coming out the other side, so it must be getting pooped out.
NASA also talked about how they used 5 eclipses to calculate changes in Earth's rotation. And the conclusion was that the Earth has slowed by 47 thousandths of a second per day over the last 3,200 years.
Not a lot.
What's interesting about that is if the eclipse that we're experiencing now happened over 3,000 years ago, the path of totality would be completely different. That's how they calculated the rate, because they knew these eclipses happened in this city in China, but if those eclipses happened today, they wouldn't have been over that city. I decided to add this next bit because it kind of ties into what we're talking about. So Easter just passed, right? And I thought it would be interesting. So the Bible talks about how the moon turned blood red after Jesus' crucifixion. So using that information, they narrowed down a date of April 3rd in the year 33, which it was a Friday for Jesus' execution. The Quran also talks about how a solar eclipse happened before the birth of Muhammad. Very convenient, I guess. It certainly helps us figure out dates for these old events, that giant celestial bodies happened around the same time as these other things.
It's a good marker.
We should probably celebrate resurrection on April 6th, since he rose 3 days later on Sunday. But we celebrate on Easter Sunday, which is determined by when the equinox falls.
As long as I get an Easter basket, which I did not get this year, by the way. For those of you who are still following Easter Watch 2024, no basket. Did not get a basket.
Your mom usually makes you a basket.
This is the first ever year.
When she listens to this episode, you're probably gonna get a basket.
Oh, jeez. Mom, I don't need a basket.
You have a lot of candy. Do you want me to put it in you want me to put all the candy that you already have in a basket?
That's true. We still have Christmas candy that she gave me. We got a lot of Christmas candy, so we could just put that in a basket.
It could be my fault that you didn't get an Easter basket because of how much I said we have so much candy.
See, the problem is now I just have all the straggler candy. You know, there's always those groups of candies left over that you kind of reluctantly eat. The
candy that's half made out of paraffin wax.
And it's like, well, I want more candy, but I want more good candy. And if I eat, you know.
So the Mayans...
You just get stuck with it forever. You get stuck with a 2-pound bag of Rolos.
So the Mayans... We talked about how meticulously they kept their calendars, but they were also very proficient at predicting celestial events. There's a book called Astronomy in the Maya Codices. that says they predicted the eclipse that happened in July 1991. That's incredible.
Astronomy's fun like that.
It's very predictable.
Yeah, once you like really nail down the patterns with just a few years of data, you can predict events hundreds or thousands of years in the future.
I think I've heard my mom talk about that one. I think they tried to use a microwave door to look at it. It's been a while since I've heard the story, though, so I might be wrong about that. Also, it probably would have been the 1979 one, because before 2017, the last total solar eclipse that we had in the U.S. was 1979.
Microwave door?
Yeah. I might be getting that story wrong, but I feel like I remember them saying that they didn't have anything to view the eclipse with, so they tried a microwave door.
Microwave door.
I might be getting that wrong, but I should ask my mom about it.
Wow.
So in many cultures, you're still hung up on it, aren't you?
Microwave door, dude. I don't know, you know.
Now I'm definitely gonna have to ask my mom, or else you're gonna think about that every time you look at her. So in many cultures, solar eclipses were thought to be bad omens, or signs that the gods were angry, which is interesting to me that they automatically thought it was a bad sign and not a good sign. I feel like it could have gone either way. There isn't anything inherently bad about them. I guess it gets dark, and that's scary.
A lot of societies, not even just the ones who like worshipped the sun, but like a lot of them held the sun in high spiritual regard. So like it suddenly vanishing in the middle of the day was probably really terrifying.
Yeah, no one wants the life-giving sun to disappear. It kind of proves the new thing bad lizard brain we have. Maybe when I experience it, I will understand better why they felt that way. Maybe there's this deeply unsettling feeling that sets on you while watching it.
There can be.
Which, I mean, would only be worse by not knowing what's going on. They didn't know what was happening.
They didn't know if it would come back.
The word eclipse comes from the Greek word meaning abandonment. The Greeks were of the belief that eclipses were proof of God's anger as well. So let's get into some interesting legends that ancient people have passed down to us. China talked about the sun being eaten. Their story is that a celestial dragon devoured the sun. So of course they needed to save the sun, which they did by banging drums and making loud noise to frighten the dragon away.
Made it poop it out.
Oh, I also read the story of these two guys who were executed for failing to predict an eclipse. So this was taken very seriously. Vietnamese legends say that a giant frog swallowed the sun, and then the Lord of Han, which, if I understand correctly, is its master, convinces the frog to spit the sun back out. Andean mythology says that a puma devours the sun, and their solution for scaring the puma away was the screams of children and animals.
Oh no.
How do you get an animal to scream on command?
Not good ways. No good way to do that.
So Choctaw legend is that a mischievous black squirrel gnaws on the sun. They had the same concept as everyone else, that they needed to scare the squirrel away, so they also made loud noises and shot arrows at the sun.
That one's funnier.
I really like the squirrel story. The Pomo people's word for eclipse translates to sun got bit by a bear. And that's because their story is that a bear goes for a walk through the Milky Way, where the bear comes across the sun, and they get into an argument about who will get out of the way, which turns into a fight, or other words, an eclipse.
How long is that word? It was not related to my original search, but if you go to Google and type April 8 eclipse, you'll get a special treat. Hopefully it still works after the eclipse.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably a limited time offer.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of their things stick around.
Norse culture says that Loki gets revenge by creating wolf giants to eat the sun.
That's pretty metal.
It's very Loki. German mythology has a sweeter story where the hot female sun and the cooler male moon are in love, and when they seek companionship, the moon draws close to the sun in what I describe as a loving embrace, and that is a solar eclipse.
Aww. It also makes the most scientific sense.
Germans,
man. I like that.
Hindu mythology had quite an interesting explanation. So they believed that a demon wanted to drink the nectar of the gods to gain immortality, which I kind of thought demons already had, but whatever. So he disguises himself as a woman and sneaks into a banquet of the gods. But he's discovered and beheaded as punishment, and his decapitated head then flies across the sky, which is what blocks the sun and creates the eclipse.
Every time?
Well, hang on. Some versions say that he got a drop of nectar and his head, only his head, continuously pursues the sun immortally.
Why don't we see a giant head rolling across the sky at night instead of the moon? That is so elaborate. It's so intricate. Who thought of that? Who wrote this for the first time and said that makes sense? Wow. Good job.
Some stories talked about people lighting fires to warm the earth during its time of darkness. I thought that was kind of nice. There was also a story about a boy, or in some iterations says a dwarf, was burned by the sun, and he seeks revenge by catching the sun in a trap. And various animals try to release the sun, but it comes down to the lowly mouse who's able to gnaw through the ropes and save the sun. Bit of an underdog story.
Also weirdly intricate.
An under-mouse story. Badoosh.
So this happens again every time? Is somebody different getting burnt by the sun? How come his traps don't work every time, or any time, rather? And why is it always up to this mouse? Dude's got to be tired by now. I mean, it's an old mouse.
Some stories also talk about people thinking the sun and moon are fighting, and they try to encourage the sun and moon to make up by settling their own differences, as a good example. Oh, there's another legend from Italy, and this one might be my favorite, that if you plant flowers during an eclipse, they will be brighter and more colorful than if you plant them any other time.
I'm no botanist, but I don't think that's right.
You'd think they'd be darker, less bright, because that's kind of the whole idea of solar eclipse.
That's what I would think too, like plants need the sun. I want to know the logic behind that.
Again, let's remember that these are fun legends. If you're going to start trying to poke holes in their logic, you're going to miss the point of fun stories.
This podcast is not about fun. It's about vaguely correct facts.
Let us know if you saw the eclipse. Some of you lucky people might even live in the path. This one is covering a lot of the populated US, so it's very possible. But if you did miss this one, don't worry. Another one is coming to the US, but not until August 23rd, 2044. So it's going to be a while. And that one's not even going to cover much of the US. It's going to mostly just be Montana, I think, and like one of the Dakotas. But man, if you live in Canada, 2044, you will have a lot of opportunity. It's going to cover like almost all of Alberta. Also, total solar eclipses happen more often than you think. If you're willing to chase, then one happens all over the world fairly often. There will be another one in the US right after 2044, so there's going to be one in 2045, which is going to cover a good bit, a lot of the United States like this one is. Hank Green told me that this is going to be one of the more dangerous solar eclipses because of how populated the areas are that the eclipse is covering. Not only for like vision issues, but also people drive in order to see it, and so you've got more traffic, more accidents. I think he gave a statistic of like an auto collision fatality happened, like 7 people die every minute, but in this case, it's going to be more like 10.
A report says that in 2017, a total eclipse caused a 30% rise in fatal crashes. I've already seen signs that say, don't look at the eclipse while you're driving, like the big light up signs on the interstate.
Yeah, there was a lot of signs saying, pay attention to the road. And
also, I saw on the map a lot of the big cities that the eclipse is gonna hit, and I was imagining the chaos that will be occurring in those places. It's gonna be. I'm glad I'm not there.
The eclipse in 2045 is gonna hit a lot of Arkansas, so who knows? We might be back here in 21 years with some adult children. That would be fun. Hopefully no grandchildren yet, but things happen. We only have, Ben, this is very important. This is like everyone needs to know that you need to go and see a solar eclipse because they're not always going to be around. We only have 600 million years before solar eclipses don't happen anymore. So get in while you can. The moon will be too far from the Earth to cover the sun, is why.
Where did the time go, man?
How will our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren see solar eclipses?
I don't think that was enough greats.
Oh, it wasn't nearly enough, but I didn't want to I don't want to waste anybody's time.
I wonder if I wonder if humanity will still be around.
Oh, I can't imagine.
No way, right? It's so hard to fathom something like that because in the scale of the universe, humanity is such an early concept right now. We're so cutting edge.
Yeah, on the cosmic calendar, we are only like the last second of the last day in December, if you were trying comparatively.
Yeah. We're just starting out, so it's hard to imagine us sticking around that long, but if we did, I wonder if it would still be like a monumental event seeing because it'd probably still look kind of cool until it gets to the point where you like can't make it out because the sun's too bright anymore. At the very least, it would probably make for some pretty good astrophotography.
The better question is, will we still have a sun, or will our sun have supernovaed? How long does our sun have?
We still have 5 billion years till then.
Oh, well, we're golden. Well, I mean, we're going to lose our moon, but we'll still have the sun.
Yeah, it'll make our oceans calm down a little bit.
We'll just need to decapitate another somebody and throw their head across the sky.
Another demon will try to get at that nectar of eternal life or whatever. So, there's time.
I have a weird fun fact about the last eclipse in 2017.
Tell us about it.
Bonnie Tyler.
Who's that?
Bonnie Tyler sang Total Eclipse of the Heart, and she performed Total Eclipse of the Heart on a Royal Caribbean cruise with Joe Jonas. And that was like a big event on that cruise ship. Was
during the eclipse?
I can't confirm that, but I think it was, if it wasn't during the eclipse, I think it was supposed to be. She had mentioned something about the eclipse for that year was only like 2 minutes and 40 seconds, but her song is 4 minutes and some odd seconds. So she didn't know how they were going to make that work. But I think it was supposed to be during the total eclipse, but I don't know if it actually was. She definitely sang, though. And Joe Jonas definitely sang with her, and it was very weird.
Joe Jonas.
I know, right? That's such a weird duo.
How did he get there?
It's like that video of Miley Cyrus performing with Adam Sandler. Combinations you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
My parents went to see the 2017 eclipse. I don't remember where they viewed it from, but they said it was spectacular.
Good for them.
Nathan also saw it. He saw it in Wyoming. I bet that was incredible.
Good for him.
He is traveling to Arkansas this time for the eclipse as well.
Good for him.
And Trevor is on his way right now.
Good for him.
To come in and spend the 8th with us. But he is going to encounter some traffic on the way out. It's going to be gnarly.
He's going to leave the day after, right?
He says he's leaving right after.
Do the people know Trevor?
I don't think so.
Well, you got any PSAs?
Make sure that you have a good pair of Eclipse glasses. It's very, very important.
Yeah, there are fake Eclipse glasses for sale. If you turn on a lamp and look at them through your Eclipse glasses and you can still see the light from the light bulb, they're out. Those are fake.
Well, that's not completely true. You should be able to see a faint light.
Yeah.
But you should not be able to see anything other than like a faint yellow glow. Our campground has done a fantastic job, and they provided us with a little bag that had Eclipse glasses in it and wristbands to make sure that everybody in the campsite is supposed to be there, and like pamphlets. Ugh, I hate that word, pamphlets.
Yeah, I was impressed. They did good. They did very good. Another PSA, cameras are also not made to look at the sun either. And they should have a solar filter over them also. And the other thing is that normal solar eclipse glasses are not meant to work through a telescope. If you look at the sun through a telescope with little plastic solar eclipse glasses on, they will probably get burned along with your eyes. So you have to use a special filter for that.
Make sure you don't take your solar eclipse glasses off until you have hit 100% totality, because even if you look at the sun and it's like 95% covered, it's still very dangerous.
The sun is a deadly laser.
Drive safely. Keep your eyes on the road. We want you to make it to 2044 or 45.
Maybe plan your commute if you have to be on the road. Maybe go early or go late so that you're not on the road as it's happening, because even if you're paying attention, other people are not. These
are far too late for this eclipse. But if you are planning on going to the 2045, plan early. Everything gets booked up. We called in January to get our camp spot, and we got the last one. And we called many other campgrounds beforehand, and they didn't have anything.
Although, pro tip, if you missed the deadline and they're all booked up, sometimes there's a bunch of cancellations right before the day because people realize they can't make it or they don't like the way the weather looks or whatever, and you might be able to snag a last-minute spot just in case you missed it.
But try not to miss it.
Try not to.
2045 is going to be very exciting. We did bad. This is another exciting history of an exciting thing. If you have suggestions for mundane things that you want to hear the history on, or if you know a cute story that goes along with a mundane thing that we can look into, we would be happy to hear from you and do an episode for you. Always open to suggestions. Literally anything can be a topic.
You can send us an email at contact@uselist.us. That's contact@uselist.us. Or you can leave it on our Q&A page on Spotify. Or in the comment section under the videos on YouTube Music. A lot of stuff there.
R.I.P. Google Podcasts.
R.I.P. indeed. It's just, why does Google keep killing their best apps that actually work and replacing them with bad apps that don't actually work? Well, this has been Thingamajigs and another exciting history of a mundane thing. Don't forget to grab a goose and turn around.
Bright eyes.
And every now and then I fall apart. Thank you so much for listening.
Don't eat the sun.
Okay. What are we doing?
Could you imagine having to poop out the sun?
Can't be worse than Buffalo Wild Wings.
Go! Forgive me, but